what are JP Morgan, Merrill Lynch, Goldman Sachs, and Morgan Stanley telling their clients about this real estate market? Sustainable or not sustainable? Bubble or no bubble? That's what we're going to cover in this monthly market report. This is for you if you're a real estate agent or financial advisor interested in market data to help you advise a client, or perhaps you are that potential buyer or seller looking for some direction. I'm Paulo Rodríguez. I've been a mortgage professional since 2005, and here is the market data you need to make an informed buying or selling decision, or help your client do the same. The biggest story continues to be the lack of available inventory. Here are a couple of visuals that communicate that, and they really underscore why that is happening. First reason is we don't have the sellers that we need in the market today. This graphic here from the National Association of Realtors shows seller traffic, and the gray shows weak to very weak seller traffic, and the few states in the light blue show stable seller traffic. So now let's contrast that visually with the buyer demand or buyer traffic, and just take a look at that. The overwhelming majority of the country showing very strong buyer traffic. Realtor.com said this: in this wild west environment, buyers are doing anything they can to stand out, and more all cash offers do just that, and can be the difference between getting that dream home or winding up empty-handed again. But if we look at inventory, we know we're in the situation because inventory was depleted as we went through last year. The low was in December, January, and the most recent April number shows a slight uptick to 2.4 months of inventory available. But what does this all mean? What does it mean for someone that is trying to buy real estate? Well, it means prices are going up. The March year-over-year home appreciation numbers have just come out, where the Federal Housing Finance Agency reporting 13.9% appreciation, CoreLogic 11.3%, and Case-Shiller 13.2%. If you remember, last year this number was only 10%. So year over year, we're still seeing hot appreciation, and these forecasters are saying, you know what? Appreciation is going to continue. Take a look at these 5 forecasters, which by the way, all have one thing in common, which is that they all upped their forecasts as the year has gone on. The average right now, 8.2% appreciation in 2021. Now, what's that going to depend upon as we go throughout the year? Well, demand and supply, of course. We know the demand is there, and we're wondering, is supply going to come back? I'll talk about that in a moment, but if we look at the Federal Housing Administration's maps and price appreciation by region, we can see strong appreciation across the country. On average, 12.6% appreciation year over year in Q1 of this year. What stands out to me is that mountain region where we're seeing over 15% appreciation, and we can only wonder how sustainable that will be, and it's certainly something that we'll have to keep an eye on. So the question of inventory is the big question. The builder category is certainly where we're seeing headwinds of rising costs. You can't go very far without hearing about rising costs of lumber in today's market. And that's caused a slowdown in some of the leading indicators in building. The National Association of Home Builders said this: the decline in single-family permits indicates that builders are slowing construction activity as costs rise. While housing starts were strong at the beginning of the year due to the home builder constructing homes that were sold pre-construction, higher costs and limited availability of building materials have now paused some projects. Something I have said in prior months is that builder activity should pick up in the second half of the year, which will help alleviate some inventory shortage. Admittedly, this has me second guessing myself a bit. Some questions I have are, what is going to happen with the rising supply costs, and how long will this last? Only time will tell. A lot of people are still asking, is this a bubble? Let's hear what some very reputable institutions had to say about that. Morgan Stanley said this: we have strong conviction that we're not experiencing a bubble in US housing. We're not suggesting that home price appreciation will maintain its current torrid pace. Home prices will continue to rise, but more gradually. All of this rise in prices causes more and more people to say, okay, are homes even affordable? First American said this: looking back at the bubble years, house prices exceeded house buying power in 2006 nationally, but today, house buying power is nearly twice as high as the median sales price nationally. Many find it hard to believe, but housing is actually undervalued in most markets, and the gap between house buying power and sales price indicates there's room for further house price growth in the months to come. Housing undervalued? That's a little strange. Well, maybe not that strange when you look at the Housing Affordability Index from the National Association of Realtors. And where do we stand today? Well, put it this way, there are only 3 bars on this graph that reflect high levels of affordability than where we are today, and all 3 were due to excessive inventory resulting from the housing crash. Regardless of where prices are today, housing remains highly affordable. And if you want to examine that visually, the percentage of median income needed to purchase a medium price home historically is about 21.2%. Back in the years prior to the housing crash, that rose to 25.4%, and today we sit at only 14.4% on average. That's the median income needed to purchase the medium priced home. So perhaps you are a prospective buyer and you are tired of getting outbid and things are really frustrating out there at the moment. All I can say is stay the course. Keep trying. Owning a home beats renting. And about that, the Urban Institute said this: contrary to popular belief, owning one's home is frequently more affordable than renting. It is cheaper to buy a home than it is to rent in 2 out of 3 American counties. And what's happening with the price of rent, by the way? Well, it continues to go up. Take a look at this chart going back to 1990. Rent just continues to go up. Moreover, renters do not see the financial benefits that homeowners do. So if you're that buyer that's ready to throw in the towel, don't. Keep going. It will be worth it in the end and you'll be able to build equity over the long term. Speaking of equity, here are the most recent numbers from Atom data. Homes with at least 50% equity are skyrocketing. 17.8% million homes in this country with a mortgage were considered equity rich, meaning they have greater than 50% equity. That number equates to 31.9% of properties that have a mortgage, and 38% of all properties are owned free and clear without a mortgage. So significant equity across the country in many homes. Just another reason we should not hold our breaths for a housing crash. So let's come back to what some of the top financial institutions are saying about this housing market. These are institutions that manage more in wealth than most. So let's take a look at what they're telling their best clients. JP Morgan said this: home buyers, interest rates are still historically low, though they're inching up. Housing prices have spiked during the last 6 to 9 months, but we don't expect them to fall soon. And we believe they are more likely to keep rising. If you're looking to purchase a new home, conditions may be better than 12 months hence. Those who remember the housing bubble of 2006 and 7 may be nervous watching US housing prices soar, but the previous bubble was fueled by speculative buying, which we do not think is the case today. So now let's go to Merrill Lynch. And they said this: there are reasons to believe that this is likely to be an unusually long and strong housing expansion. Demand is very strong because the biggest demographic cohort in history is moving through the household formation and peak home buying stages of its life cycle. They're talking, of course, about millennials there. Coronavirus-related preference changes have also sharply boosted home buying demand, and at the same time, supply is unusually tight with available homes for sale at record low levels. Double-digit price gains are rationing the supply. And here is what Goldman Sachs had to say: strong demand for housing looks sustainable. Even before the pandemic, demographic tailwinds and historically low mortgage rates had pushed demand to high levels. Consumer surveys indicate that household buying intentions are now the highest in 20 years. As a result, the model projects double-digit price gains both this year and next. And here is the last one from Morgan Stanley. Unlike 15 years ago, the euphoria in today's home price comes down to the simple logic of supply and demand. And we at Morgan Stanley conclude that this time the sector is on a sustainably sturdy foundation. This robust demand and highly challenged supply, along with the tight mortgage lending standards, may continue to bode well for home prices. Higher interest rates and post-pandemic moves could likely slow the pace of appreciation, but the upward trajectory remains very much on course. So if you're in the hunt right now, stay in the hunt. Just look at what some of the top wealth managers across this country are saying about housing. They're clearly saying, we expect this to continue in the coming year. We expect prices to continue to grow. If you're thinking about buying, do it now. And we don't see the speculative buying that we saw back in 2006. So that's a wrap for the June monthly market report. I appreciate you listening in. Forward, subscribe, share. I'll be back next month, but before you go, if you're looking to purchase or refinance or know someone that is and would like a no-cost consultation with me personally, feel free to reach out and I'll be happy to analyze if your debt is structured in the most optimal way or if there's room for improvement. Thanks for tuning in. Bye for now.